Okay, our next speaker is Ramona Wagner. Ramona just completed her master's with us when? Probably last year. She worked with me on a project we did for Australia, and we developed a benchmark of eTourism destinations worldwide, and we facilitated the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse workshop down in Melbourne, where we were developing things with the Australian Tourism Commission and the Australian government. Since then, Ramona is working with Nicholas Hall, who just got out of the room. Did he? Yes. On the digital tourism think tank, and she's developing a whole range of initiatives there. Ramona.
Okay. Hope so. Can you hear me? Okay, so I'll be talking about benchmark of eDestinations, global best practice. And now? Okay. Is it working now? Can you hear me in the back? Yeah, okay, I see nodding heads. So, okay. So I'll be talking about benchmark of eDestinations, global best practice. And as Dimitrios mentioned, it's presenting all the results that we've gathered throughout the last year. So the benchmark really looked at the different stages of travel before, during, and after a holiday. So it looked at how are destinations actually inspiring travelers before they actually go on holiday. What information do they provide for them in order to make them book a holiday, and how are they engaging with them prior to their visit. We also looked at during the holiday, what are they actually doing in order to facilitate the traveler at the destination, because it doesn't just stop when the traveler actually books a holiday. It's still ongoing when the traveler is in the destination, and of course after a holiday. It's really important that destinations make travelers remember the experiences and also share them with their friends and family or their social networks, but also engage with the destinations after the day. So we did a comparative analysis of destination websites, but also social media, and the research was entirely web-based and looked at the websites, the different social media engagement and all those sorts of things. And we created a 200-factor table that was kind of used as a tool to compare that. In terms of the sample, as Dimitrios mentioned, 10 destinations were given by the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse, because obviously they wanted us to look at how Australian destinations, both cities and regions, are actually doing. And we also selected the top 20 international destinations at the time of last summer, and those were chosen on the basis of research, but also expert opinions of kind of marketeers in the field. So before holiday, here you can see how an extract of such a kind of table looks like. So this is the result table. On the left-hand side, you can see the key evaluation factors, then the average score achieved of all 30 destinations, or the average score of everybody, and then an extract of the 10. So you can see Australia, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and so on. Obviously not all the 30 destinations fit on a screen, so this is just an extract. And the color scheme implies how high the destinations are scoring above or beneath the average score. So destinations with kind of a greenish color are doing quite well because they score above average. However, destinations that are scoring kind of in an orangey or red or even purpley color, they're kind of underutilizing the factors, so they're not scoring very well. And now I'm going to focus a lot on best practice, actually showing why they're doing it well. So in the Inspire stage, Australia is doing really well. They always have these really nice images. They have really image-driven sites, and this is really what sells the destination. In the Inform stage, we very much looked at what are the tools that they provide: maps, personalization tools, itinerary planners, those kind of things that travelers really want nowadays. And I've chosen Western Australia as an example. This is quite a recent example. They've chosen a lot of user-generated experiences, and they've created this website called 1001 Extraordinary Experiences. where they asked travellers and local people from Western Australia to submit different images and experiences that go with it. And after the campaign was closed, they actually chose 1,001 images from all the images that were sent in. And if you access the site, you can browse through kind of hundreds and hundreds of nicely images. You can click on them, and it will tell you, for example, this image was made by Kate, it was made in Perth, and this is the experience she had. And they give you maps, and they actually give you the opportunity to go and to travel offers and maybe even book it. So that's quite nicely done. South Africa, they've also invested a lot of money during the last years in their digital strategy. And that means that they've completely redone their website. And if you access the website, you can click on these icons, for example, the Big Five Safari, and you can click on where to go, what to do, click on deals. So it's really straightforward and it's really informative for the traveler. Engagement is another big part. So you want travelers to engage with a destination prior to the visit. And what we've seen in the sample was that not a lot of destinations are actually kind of engaging very much at the moment with travelers. So this is certainly kind of one point where they can really improve. Norway is one example. They have launched kind of an engagement campaign in January this year. It's closed now, and it was called Norway to Scream, where they asked people to submit kind of a 30-second video where they kind of just scream, submit it, and at the end of the campaign, they chose one of the kind of videos as a prize, and the prize was a trip actually to going to Norway. And depending on how many people would submit a video, kind of the price or the money or the value of the price would actually increase. It was really fun. If you haven't seen it and want to laugh, go to YouTube and check it out. It's really, really fun to watch. Cape Town are also very engaging, not just with travelers, but very much with kind of local people. So very often they ask their local people to write about the experiences people can have in Cape Town on the blog. And they also do kind of a lot on their social media channels. They always ask on Twitter, hey, we have some bloggers coming into Cape Town. What can they see? What can they do? And people just write kind of hundreds and hundreds of tweets with suggestions. So it's really a great thing. It's also important to facilitate at the destination. And here we looked at kind of brochures, events calendars, reservation tools for attractions or restaurants kind of on the destination websites. And California, they're doing this quite well. They have a whole kind of section with travel tools where they offer downloadable maps that can come in very handy when you're in the destination, and all sorts of other things. After a holiday, it's important that destinations make travelers remember the experiences. So here we looked at kind of destination newsletters people can sign up to, online shops or personal trip basket where they can back and log into and maybe plan a next holiday. So Visit Las Vegas, they've done quite a nicely, not just trip planner, and then also a nice trip basket where you can kind of say your itinerary interests, select them, and then make a trip out of that. So it comes very handy. And last, we looked at kind of what are the tools and how destinations kind of using social media to share and engage with travelers. And my example again is Cape Town, because they're really doing a lot of interesting things. Cape Town, they've done a Facebook app. So this is how the app would look like if you would kind of subscribe to it on Facebook. And they did it last year. They also have one going at the moment. And what they do is you can communicate kind of what are your interests. If you would go on to Cape Town for 5 days, then you get a map in the application and a daily feed. So this is how the daily news feed looks like. So on the first day, obviously I'm flying to Cape Town. So my profile checks in, get my boarding pass, and off I go to Cape Town. And every day I get kind of another feed just like that. So for example, one day I went kite surfing, and I can watch the photos, I can actually watch videos that look just as if I would be in Cape Town at the beach and I would be doing it. And it's really great, and it makes you share it with your friends, and it makes you want to go there. Actually, with the think tank team, we interviewed the CEO of Cape Town, and here's kind of a summary what they said. So they had about 8,000 users that used the app within a short amount of time. They had about 15,000 additional likes on the Facebook page just after that. Now Cape Town is one of the biggest kind of destination pages on Facebook. And it really taps into this gamification trend that I think later on some others will be talking about. And they've used this for the database, which is really smart for promotional emails and things like that. So they've actually kind of built up relationship. And now if you receive an email from them, you won't be kind of offended. You're just going to be like, oh, this is really interesting. This is an offer. Maybe now I'm actually going to book my flight and go. So at the end of the research, we came up with a top 10 ranking of the eDestinations. So the number 1 is Thailand. And I have to say that this kind of this top 10 ranking is based on kind of the overall, so both the destination websites and social media, how they performed on both. Obviously, some of them performed stronger maybe in social media than on the websites, but this is just kind of guideline to see what are the best destinations out there at the moment. So the outcomes of the benchmark, we quickly realized that destinations are still underutilizing technologies. There's a need to rethink their use of technologies. Training and setting priorities is absolutely crucial. Benchmarking can help destinations to improve. And it's really important to identify best practice use of technologies and applications to really learn from that. And now a few takeaways for you today. So there really needs to be a digital strategy in place for destinations, for all stages of travel. You really need to continue to innovate, and that's for all kind of businesses nowadays. You need to spend your money wisely. You need to go where the travelers are and engage with them. So if it's not on your website, then go to social media channels. If it's not there, then go somewhere else. Destinations need to improve their use of emerging technologies, and the use of technologies and applications really needs to be on the basis of your communication strategy, and it really needs to fit into that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ramona. It's very interesting when you start looking into destinations around the world to see where they stand currently and what kind of tools they use, and this is the research we did with Ramona. Any questions?
I'm sorry if I wasn't paying enough attention at the beginning. How did you get the 200 plus factors, and how were they weighted? Who judged on what the weighting of the factors was? And as I couldn't add up the maths on your columns across to ever come to the total on the left-hand side of average score, what's the relationship between the numbers in the table and the average score?
Okay, so the factor table was created on the basis of a lot of research that already exists. There's a lot of research kind of in benchmarking websites and social media. So we collected kind of all the factors that were considered in the research as most important. And Dimitrios and a couple of other experts also kind of contributed to that and kind of mentioned different areas we should look into. So that's how the 200 factors come about. In terms of the average score, obviously that's an average score of all kind of that comes by adding up all the 30 destinations, seeing what the average score is. And the color scheme was in order to kind of visualize which destinations are kind of scoring above or beneath average. Did I miss a question now? I'm not sure.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's a very, very powerful tool, actually. When we are discussing that in Australia, we came to an agreement that some people will have a higher priority on some of the factors. In a sense, these factors, they've been given exactly the same weighting, each of them. And some people in Australia said, we would like to concentrate on that or the other. That's fine, provided that you understand what you're doing. When we're doing the analysis, Adelaide came always first as because of the webcam that they've got and all the rest of it, but they were lacking behind on a lot of other things. So it just gives you an X-ray of where you are and what you're doing. And it's very, very powerful tool. You had a question? Please say who you are, where are you from, and what's your perfume.
Jeanette, Galston-Lincoln, but working with attractions in the UK. Can you tell us more about how the UK fared? You had the number 9 on the list. So was that Visit Britain's website?
Yeah.
So could you give us a few more details about that?
So that was Visit Britain, scored, I think, 9th overall. And we very much looked at their website. They're doing a lot of, they're really tapping into the whole social aspect. So obviously they're scoring very high on kind of social media, integrating it into their sites and things like that. Obviously, to give you kind of more detail, I would have to look back into the actual table and see kind of where they scored above or beneath average. But they're doing quite well. I mean, they're investing heavily, especially for the Olympics. They did a lot for that. They did a lot of campaigns. And their Facebook page, I think, has over 1 million fans. So they have a really, really big, powerful kind of social media strategy in place. And obviously their website has lots of different themes. They promote their events heavily, so they're very engaged and they're really present in lots of different markets.
Yeah, still 9, so what more?
Oh, well, 9th probably because they could always do more. They could be more. They probably could be more personalized. They could have probably done a bit better trip planner, things like that. So obviously it's difficult to, the top 10 ranking was a bit difficult because obviously they're doing a lot of things very well, but maybe not across the whole kind of 200 factors, but they don't have to because that might be not their overall strategy they follow.
What is very interesting is that even when you're looking into the tables in very high detail, you see that none of the destination is actually doing very, very well. And if you see how far away are from the optimal, it's phenomenal. We have got so many tools that even the best destinations around the world, they do not use currently. And when you're looking into the details, we were looking to average kind of 2 out of 5, and it's really about very few destinations that have got the spectrum of things that are happening. Yeah. Last question for Ramona. Birgit. Please say who you are, what you do, and which perfume.
My name is Brigitte Stangl. I'm from a lecturer at University of Surrey. And
Go closer.
my question actually is, because you looked at destinations at various levels, like city and whole countries, did you also look at if there are any differences between city level and country level, for example?
Well, when we looked at the results, we could certainly see that there's not a lot of kind of cities that are doing extremely well in comparison to kind of national tourist boards, so kind of country destinations. However, I'm not sure if there was a city actually in the top 10. I'm sorry about that. But for example, Cape Town. I mean, Cape Town is not very big, but Cape Town on a kind of, they scored quite well in certain things within the benchmark table. So obviously they can kind of compete with a whole country as itself. So there is kind of the distinction between kind of how well they're doing sometimes. But much more in detail, we didn't really look at that.
What's interesting is when we are researching on technological adoption and innovation, it's all down to the leadership of the decision makers. And in some places, it doesn't matter if it's a city or if it's a country, it's down to the leadership. If there's leadership and strong presence of people who understand digital, then they would like to go forward, they always go forward. It's very, very interesting on this. Thank you very much, Ramona. Thank you.